Michael! What's up, man? How are you?
Not much. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Somebody's been bothering me constantly recently.
Uh-huh.
This guy named Matt Reeves.
Uh-huh.
He owes me money, too. I'm just kidding. Matt Reeves, thanks for listening to the show, man. Michael tells me you're a fan of the show, and you know Michael since 5th grade, you said?
5th grade, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Something like that. Yeah.
In Chicago?
Gurney, yeah.
What?
Gurney.
Gurney.
Suburb.
Gotcha. I thought you were talking about like a medical gurney. I was like, you guys were together in the hospital in 5th grade on a medical gurney. You shared it, became best friends. That's a movie idea. I'll sell it to you.
Okay.
Write it. How's life? Everything good, man?
Yeah, everything's good.
That's good. I'm a little tired. I'm a little tired again.
What happened, Wesam?
I overworked myself on a treadmill. Not treadmill, elliptical, because I'm crazy. Did 1,000 calories in an hour. Under an hour. 15 seconds to spare. I'm a beast. Okay. We got any mail today?
We have one question
Okay.
from Anonymous.
Okay.
And it is, how were your relationships with your classmates? Were they friendly? Were they fake and used you just not for not being alone when you actually cared, but then didn't care about you? If so, how did you overcome this feeling?
Okay. Oh, boy. This is deep, and I feel like there's some drama there. Now, I wish we would have gotten some more information. Is it classmates like it sounds like high school classmates, but it could be college, right?
Yeah.
It could be college. I would say this. If it's like younger, like high school, it's tough being an adolescent. I'll just say that. You got a lot of hormones in your body. You're trying to figure out who you are. You're trying to fit into these cliques usually. The best possible advice I can give you is if people are making fun of you, don't hold any weight. Ignore them. Live your own life. Find people you like hanging out with who better you, who are fun to hang out with, and just focus on that. And the other people, it's just noise. And people change too.
You'll be surprised in 10 years.
You'll be surprised in 2 years. In a year, you will be surprised how much you change. It's tough. I know it can get depressing, but have some goals. Have some like outside of school activities. It's tough being a teenager nowadays. I think it's always been tough.
Always been tough.
Yeah, it's always been tough. So I hope you get through it. Thanks for writing into the show, and yeah, I think we hit that pretty good.
I think so. Who's our guest today?
Michael, our guest today is a man who has the best hats. I actually got to work with this guy on his directorial debut as the lead in his short film, which was an incredible experience. He's a writer on the hit show Supernatural, which is going into its 14th season, he said.
Mm-hmm.
What?
They've been on forever.
That's amazing.
I see he's also part of the Stagecoach family.
That is true. The Stagecoach family and our management team. He is a amazing writer, a funny dude, great human being. He's a family man, too, nowadays. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Davy Perez.
I like it.
Yeah, it's nice. Written by my brother and his friend a while back.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Then the beat drops.
Yeah. It's fun.
I like that.
It's Wesam's world.
Wesam's world. I love it. Well, I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. Your hat is probably something I could never pull off.
Oh, dude. Are you kidding me?
It's super, super cool.
It is rad.
Can we show the people on YouTube, whoever's watching?
No, I have this hat, and I wear it when I want to look cool. And I wore it like specifically for today, and then you're like, here, put these headphones on. And I was like, oh. I'm not a pro at the podcast thing.
Well, it's really funny. Sometimes people don't like to wear the headphones. They'd rather have they'll take it off at certain points just to actually have the conversation, and they trust that whoever's listening to it.
So I like Sipowitz.
We can go
sizzle time.
We can
Pop.
We can go sans headphones and see if you like that better. How do you think?
I don't know. I'm good with either.
Okay.
Could I still have them like right here?
That is You went super cool.
That's the move. This is the move. See, now, all right, we got to do the whole thing over. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude, I haven't seen you since the premiere or one of the showings of the short film we did.
Yeah, it's been a while. We had coffee, and then we showed the short, and
Yes.
so it's been a year, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been busy. I know you've been busy with Supernatural writing.
Yes, but you've got. I think there's a thing called television, and then they put shows on the air, and you're on one of them.
That is correct.
It's exciting. That's amazing, dude.
It really is. It's been an amazing shoot process on For the People.
ABC.
But ABC. But sometimes those long days, they're starting to a little bit wear on me.
Really?
Yeah.
So
not in a bad way. Just
this I'm gonna take over the podcast.
Okay, please.
So tell me what a typical day is like for you. Like if you're shooting more than just one scene, like if it's a full day of work for you, what does that look like?
So like, see, it's hard. There's no typical day though.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Because it's so different. You know what it's like. You're shooting like a bunch of different scenes in the day.
Right.
I mean, I'll give you this for an example. The other day, we block shooted 2 scenes, which basically means they did all the lighting setup on one side.
Right.
That was going to be similar to both scenes. So it's like instead of like moving the lighting, which takes a long time, they're like, you know what? Let's just have the actors get out of costume and then come back and then do the other scene. We'll do the
was it a block shot in the same episode, or were you cross-boarding 2 episodes?
the same episode.
Okay.
But and I know it doesn't sound that crazy intensive, but I try to really focus in on my work and like.
Well, no, I know from working with you that you really take the work seriously, and you like to, I won't say method.
No,
but you do your homework, which is great.
And also for a show like that, for scenes that deal with like comedic timing, I'm like, I have to just be in the zone for it mentally. So it's just more mentally draining, which then goes into getting physically tired, and that's where I'm at. And also, I was telling Michael Friday I did a way too intense workout on the elliptical. Yeah. I burned 1,000 calories in an hour. I felt within the first 15 minutes that, I'm really tired. I should probably stop. But then I was like, no, I said I was going to do this. I'm going to do it. And about 40 minutes in, I really felt my heart like I've never felt it before. And then I felt...
Not emotionally, you mean physically. It wasn't like you were like, oh my God, I have so many feelings right now about this workout.
No. And then I felt it in my head at the end. I looked like death after it was done.
So what you're saying, what I'm hearing is that being an actor is hard. It's a hard, tough life.
It sounds so bitch.
No.
I know.
Look.
If you experience it, you have to experience it. Then you realize, like...
It's okay. I know. I'm on your side. I'm an ally.
But I love it. Like, you love your job.
Oh, absolutely.
I would never trade it for anything.
I don't think I could do anything else.
Nope.
I know that I can't do. I've tried to do other things. Before I found this career, I did not have a job that lasted more than like 16 months. Like,
wow.
I would tell myself I could do this job for 2 years, and then halfway through that, I'd be like, I can't. I'm gonna get. And I've gone back to the same job a couple times because it's not like I was a bad person and I was fun to work with. So I would quit or go and try to find something else, and then that wouldn't work out, and then I'd go back to the whatever shithole restaurant I was at, and it was like, can you take me back? And they're like, yeah, we'll always take people that don't know what they want to do in life. Everyone's always going to want a side of ranch. And I did that for a while, but once you find your passion and this is it, it's not really a choice. It's sort of just that becomes your life and your career.
You find ways to recharge. You find ways to like dial in. Like on set, like one of the biggest gems of working on the show is the cast and the crew and everybody. I mean,
and you're not just saying that because we're...
No, dude, we laugh so much. And we have such a good time that it makes the workday so much easier, so much more bearable. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I've worked on sets where it was kind of like, I don't want to be here, and I hate saying that because I love acting.
I've never been in a set production that I didn't want to be on. I love everybody.
Okay.
Including people I've worked with in offices, executives that I've met, people
go.
that I've mentored under. I have just good experiences throughout my entire life. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. I might be an anomaly. There was this short film I did. I think it was called Abduction.
That was probably the low point of my career. There's this actor. People say the word prima donna a lot, and they don't really understand what it means. I used to use it sort of in an everyday conversation. I don't use the word anymore because I've met Wesam Quiche.
Oh, okay. Wow. This short film I worked on, it was kind of nightmarish. We were in the middle of the woods. I didn't have my trailer.
Yeah, so that's where I knew we screwed up. Was that we didn't have? I read your writer, and I was like, on page 10, I was like, whoa. We don't have a quarter of this stuff.
Crafty was the 24 bags of Lay's from Costco.
on the crooked table that couldn't stand up straight. And no red vines.
Dude, I had a blast shooting that.
Yeah, that was great. That was the funnest time that I've had. Like, talk about fun times on set. Obviously, it was what I consider my directorial debut because I hadn't directed anything since, college. And when I say college, I mean junior college courses that were, here's a camcorder, go follow somebody around and show me how you edit. So I don't call those short films. Those were bad practice things that I never show anyone. This, Abduction, that was my first short, and I got you, and I got Pip, and she was great. Alex, who played the alien, and everyone on set was just having a good time. It was fun. We had our things, but every production has their things, and we were just so tightly knit that I think it's like we bonded over that experience.
Yeah, it was so much fun for me working with like practical effects. Yeah, especially with the makeup.
Yeah,
and,
that's
I had to have a mask made for me. It had to be plastered. The effects team were just incredible artists.
Tom Suprenant, who I believe still active, but he used to do something in the Star Trek universe. And so when I met him and told him my idea was like, I want no digital, I want all practical. He's like, nobody really does that anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I know, that's the point. Like, let's do this. And then our alien came out awesome. And then you had to get fitted for a whole facial prosthetic, so that we could do the eye gag. There's that scene where like you rip a piece of face off, which is really cool.
I still have that, by the way.
The facial thing.
I have the fake alien eye, my fake skin.
Oh, cool.
And my head plaster that's on my face.
That's great. That's cool because if you ever go on to another production and they're like, you need to spend 2 hours with goop on your face, they're like, no. I've got one. Here you go. And I still look this young. So
yeah, I think I do. Maybe. I don't know. I'm getting so many gray hairs.
Yeah. No, that was what, 2 years ago now?
Dude, yeah, it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's insane. But you still look beautiful.
Thank you so much. Yeah. This is what this podcast is about. It's about positive affirmations for me.
No, I figured I was here to feed your ego.
Well, yeah, every single guest I have on. There's a reason.
I just keep putting my chair lower?
Please. I don't know why it was that high to begin with.
That's right.
You're working. First of all, I want to talk about like. We don't have to get too into it if you don't want to, but
yeah, whatever you want.
Parenthood now.
Oh yeah, that's a great show that went off the air. Oh,
ha 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 waka. No, man. I mean, this is.
I'm a dad. Yeah,
I know. How has that changed?
Dude, life changing. I mean, in so many ways. Parents that are hearing this will understand. People that are aspiring to be parents, I don't have any advice because. You hear it from all sides, and you're still not ready for what comes. It's the single most amazing thing that's happened in my life, regardless of what I do for my own self as far as creative passions. Like that, I am a father is just defines me in a way that I can't really explain. Mm-hmm. He's amazing. Zach is just this fun, happy little boy who's also very emotional. He's got a really sick sense of humor. I don't know where he gets any of these things from.
Right.
There's no one in the family that has any of these particular traits. And he loves skulls. because
Oh.
I have tattoos of skulls, and I have a mug with a skull on it that he's probably seen since he was a month old. So now if we pass by a skull in a store, he's like,
That's cool.
yeah, it's really cool. So I've infected my son with a love of all things macabre, which is also really cool.
That's really awesome. How has it changed you though, specifically like with your craft, artistry wise? Because here's the thing, like I obviously don't have kids, and I'm always hear my actor friends having kids and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh well, how's that gonna affect my the way I approach a role?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can't say what it would be like for acting, but for writing, it's flipped it upside down. You know, and in a good way, I have to say, because I'll admit that going into the career, I was very undisciplined to a degree. I was kind of one of those writers that was like, when it hits me and I understand it inspirationally, I can go for 12 hours. I can stay up all night. I can get this down. And so I was working off of a feel it kind of a thing. I would schedule writing time, but if it didn't come to me, I just knew at one point in the week I'm going to have that session that really lands and it's going to get me through. But with a kid, you're up in the morning, you know, you have a partner who's obviously doing more than they should, and you can't just let them do everything. And you have to be a dad, and you want to play with your son. And so I have to now go, I have this 2 hours in the morning and then 4 hours, you know, during the middle of the day, and maybe an hour in the evening, and I have to write, and it has to be, I have to approach the craft in a more technical kind of way, but also do the edit work and do a lot of the work that I was kind of the skating by on, like, cool, I got by in this sort of natural talent session that I had that, like, I really understood it. It's more a disciplined showing up and just like, okay, I have to hit my benchmark, I have to hit my deadline. Now I have to also understand that this isn't going to be what I turn in ultimately. I have to go back. I have to sort of like, I'm probably explaining what a lot of like experienced writers and showrunners are thinking. Yeah, that's the job, guy.
Yeah.
But it didn't live in me. You know, I was still just kind of floating through this because I didn't go to school. I'm a high school dropout. I'm a guy who sort of came up the ranks, and I learned how to write through reading books, going to workshops, and writing on my own. I didn't have someone showing me, I never really had that collegiate experience where you had to turn in an assignment on time or you had to work on a project. So in a lot of ways, Zach came along and was like, be a grown-up. This is how you be a grown-up, and you can still live in fantasy land and have your little writing career, Dad.
Yeah.
So it's been great.
I can't emphasize enough how much it frustrates me when in all art forms, they're like, technique, you just gotta feel it. You just gotta feel it. And I'm like, okay, yes, 100%.
It's an art. Yes, I get that.
you have to feel it. But like you said, that could take you only so far.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, it might get you really far. But then you will encounter something that would be like, you need technique.
Yeah. Or I don't understand this. I have no connection to it right now emotionally, yet I'm supposed to. I mean, I'm thinking from an acting standpoint. If they give you a character that you have no idea how to portray because you don't believe in what the character's worldview is, yet it's a character you want to play, you can't just say, well, I'm going to do it my way, because that won't fit the story necessarily. You got to say, well, what about me as an actor connects to this character? What are the little pieces I can build on, and then use my technique from how I might see the world, and build it out that way. And I remember that because I have an acting background, and that was primarily how I started. It's funny now to sort of apply that same principle to the writing, where this is the story I'm telling, this is the theme I'm going for, these are the characters I have. If I don't have this personal sort of immediate connection to the world I'm playing in, where can I find that? What can I do for myself? And the times that I don't, I actually find it harder. I find it a lot harder if I don't do the basic groundwork. If I think, oh, I love this one thing about it, let me just go to the races and I'll find the rest. I get lost in the weeds. But if in the very early stages, the foundation of it, I go, I know for me, this is what this is about. I could tell other people this is a hard tale about somebody getting taken. I know for me, whether I tell people or not, specifically what it's about. And so it means something, and it makes it easier to write and create. For instance...
I like that.
Thank you. Abduction, to talk about our short film, it's about a guy who wakes up in the cabin. He's got lost time. He doesn't know where he is. He's piecing together the last 48 hours and ultimately realizes he had this alien experience. That's a fairly accurate description of the short film. But for me, it's always been about my identity in this country. It's always been about being here, first generation, not understanding who I was as an American, not understanding who I was as a Mexican American, as a Hispanic, as a Latino, as a Latinx. Now, all these labels. So where do I exist? What's my identity? And also, to the point of the short film, like ripping off my own skin to find the identity within me, is that, and feeling like I was being abducted from the inside out.
Yeah.
And that was literally the whole subtext of that. Yet none of that is in the film, in the final project when you watch it. It's just, it's where it came from.
Oh, that's so interesting. That's that question of identity. It's been brought up on the show before, and in my personal life, and that's something I've been struggling with this question of like, who am I? Because who am I to you is different from Michael, is different to my dad, my brother, my mom, my other friends. So it's like, is there an objective identity that's really true to who you are?
Right. That's a good question. I've struggled with it too. I think a lot of anyone who's a sort of overthinker or a creative person, I think and we all suffer from imposter syndrome because we have this image of ourselves that then is not represented in the people and how they look at us. I've learned that more often than not, the image of ourselves is a distorted lens, because the only person who's looking at us that way is us. And how can we look at ourselves? We don't interact with ourselves. We think in our heads and we have an idea of what we want to be. But if I tell myself, I'm a horrible person and I'm a monster and I'm angry all the time, oh God, But then you ask everyone in my life, they're like, that is 100% not you. That is, you're fun to be around. Your son loves you. You make people laugh. People at work, everyone smiles when you come around. And even like saying those as examples, they're true examples from my own life. And I feel like, oh my God, I sound like a dumbass saying those things. No. But those are the reality. That's your identity. If you want to change it, you behave differently. If you don't like the identity that people have created for you, you could actively change it. But who you are at least this is my theory, who you are in the world is what you do as an actor. Who you are as a character is what you do. So you can be in your head all you want. You could say, I'm a bad person or I'm a good person. And then you hit someone with a car and decide, I'm going to take off because I don't want the ticket. Well, that's not what a good person does,
How have you changed certain aspects of yourself that you didn't like then? What steps did you take to change those things?
My whole life has been a journey, man. Now we're getting deep because, I've had a tough childhood. My adolescence were wild. My early 20s were, there were some highlights to my 20s. I met a lot of good friends.
You don't have to talk about it.
I love talking about it.
But in terms of specifics, because I like our listeners, because a lot of times
rambling. I get it.
No. I want to know like specifics of like when you say you had a tough childhood, like what exactly was that tough? You don't have to get into the specifics if you don't want. The reason why I ask though is because I know a lot of times whenever I hear somebody who goes like, "Oh, dude, I've gone through that thing.
Yeah.
What steps did you take to get out of it?"
Look, I had a really dark childhood.
Gotcha.
I won't get specific with it.
That's fine.
But I will say this. I feel that whether I got specific or not, people's experiences are objective. So for me, what I could consider, something that didn't bother me as much, to someone else could be like the worst sort of like darkness that they've experienced in their life. And especially in your formative years, like for example, I don't mind sharing this part. There's a lot of yelling and arguing in our house. There was a lot of like back and forth, and my dad was a disciplinarian who had his own dark sort of skeletons, and that would come out in how he raised his kids or decided to not be around to raise his kids.
Right.
I could share that very easily to someone else. That could be the thing. That enough alone would be the thing that they wrestle with, and that could be just as hard for them to talk about as my other stuff. So
Yeah.
in that regard, like there's a relative pain that I think people experience in life, and I never say that I've gone through more than you, or I won't say that I understand you, because that's also very presumptive. But I will never say that you can't understand me, if that makes sense. It's like a very interesting paradox. But how specifically I got over stuff like that?
Like the steps. I mean, is it time?
Honesty, communication, mistakes. Finding that I wanted to just be a better individual to people, and I've always had this like core desire to be a good person, and
That's so weird. I never got that vibe from you.
I know. I hide it well. I'm a villain. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah, but back to my point, like I would see myself as I'm a good guy, and then I would take an assessment of the things that I've done or the people that I've hurt, and I've been like, that's not a good guy. That's a selfish, damaged guy that needs to work on his stuff.
Yeah.
And I took a time off in my life. I mean, from my mid-20s to my early 30s, I focused primarily on my craft, like my artistry, myself. I really thought about what I wanted to do in life, and I started to read. Excuse me.
Yeah, no.
That was coffee. That was not tears.
Bullshit.
This guy's crying. And my brother actually gave me a book, The Alchemist, and it changed my life. He gave it to me at the right time. And I was like 25, 26. I was really in a dark place, and he just said, read this book. And I read that, and it was kind of what I just needed to read at the time. I got real spiritual. I read Siddhartha. I started to go back into my own Catholic upbringing and just sort of embracing spirituality, not in a like I'm right and they're wrong way, but in a what works for me as an individual. So I found it through the written word, Tolstoy, stuff like that, and my own writing. And then ultimately, like, I got to a point where I was content to be me as a single individual in the world. Like, I didn't need to partner with anyone. I got this sort of like inner confidence in life isn't about someone fixing me or me joining with someone. And that's when I met my wife, which was sort of like I was finally ready to just be myself. And then I met this woman, and meeting my wife changed my life in an amazing way, just in the dating process, because I had been purposefully single for 8 years at that point. And I just didn't want to date anybody. I just, would hang out and was very upfront that I'm not about trying to find a relationship. I'm trying to find me. And when I met her, I was also very upfront about that. And she's like, I don't want a relationship. Like, I'm like, well, then let's hang out. And having to be ourselves as individuals, but then also wanting to be with another person was a really great journey. And we both grew into these, more mature individuals. And now we have a kid, which is amazing. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool, man. It seems like there has to come from a certain place in you. You mentioned something like this honesty. You have to be really honest with yourself as to what's going on, what's wrong, what are you doing wrong. I think that a lot of people have trouble with that too, because then they feel like, oh, if I just sugarcoat it, it'll be okay. It'll get me through. It'll get me through.
Well, you got to be honest with what you're doing and who you are, but you also can't beat yourself up about it, because I did that for too long. You say, yeah, I was wrong there. Yeah, I was wrong there. Oh my God, that was so bad of me. Oh God. And then you just go into a spiral of all the things you screwed up. You don't allow yourself the opportunity to go, okay, this is the stuff I did bad. I don't want to do that again. So I'm going to put that down now. I'm not going to make that choice the next time it comes up. And what are some more positive choices I can do?
Sorry. I don't know why this random memory, like, beating yourself up for stuff.
Hey now, it's a family show.
No, it's...
Well, this sounds good.
This is really embarrassing.
No.
So, you ever did that thing where a waiter comes in and they say, like, enjoy your food, and you're like, oh, you too? And you're like, oh, man.
The inappropriate response. Yeah. I love that. I do it all the time.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it just popped in my head. I was in an outline, and the guy hands me my food, and he goes, enjoy or whatever,
Yeah.
and I go, and I just slurred my words. So I go, oh, you Jew, you too, thank you. No, I mean thank you. Dude, like.
Meanwhile, young Marvin Goldberg looks at you with his In-N-Out straw hat on.
Dude, I never drove away so fast.
Just red in the face.
Oh man, I was like, oh, he thinks like I'm some crazy racist.
I mean, is he wrong?
This week at work,
Yes.
And so this was this morning.
It was. It's every Friday.
On Monday,
Yeah.
I get off the elevator and
Right.
riding with one of the agents, and I'm going, and I go, oh, have a good weekend. It's Monday.
Yeah. It's like,
Like, oh,
that guy's on drugs.
This idiot. Oh man. See, then you gotta laugh at yourself though
Oh,
at
yeah.
a certain point.
No, yeah.
Whenever you mess up. So I think that's really important.
I do a
too.
lot of laughing. I mean, sometimes I get heavy, but I do a lot of laughing at myself, which is an interesting thing because I actually do move through the world in a very sarcastic kind of way. My default has been to make a joke about something, or when things get tense, I try to laugh, or I try. You get to certain circles and certain points where you can't do that. Sometimes you got to be serious, and you got to let people have their, especially in production. Reading, there's so many different types around you. Like, you might think it's appropriate to make that comment or that joke, and then it's not, and now it's gotten even more tense, and you're like, I should have just respected that this individual is where they're at right now.
Yeah.
And let them do the thing they need to do, and then just listen.
Or keep driving it until
Just
you get
what?
fired or they laugh.
Exactly. Just double down. I'm either gonna get a great severance, or this fucker's gonna laugh.
Oh my gosh. Sorry.
No, that was great.
No,
I've never called a guy in the drive-through a Jew, so
oh my
that's
gosh.
It
It was so embarrassing. Anyway, Supernatural.
Yes.
How long have you been working there now?
This is my third year, my third season. We are now in season 14 of the show, and it's amazing. It's awesome. I ain't gonna lie, I love it. It's really great, and it's been a life-changing experience.
How does that even work? Because I still can't wrap my mind around that. Like writer's room. I know you're a writer too as well, Michael. But like the balance of pitching ideas with a bunch of
Right.
people. You've got personalities that might clash. You've got
We all get along. We love each other.
okay. Gotcha.
End story. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but like that to me is amazing that all these group of people can come together from different backgrounds, different
Right.
circumstances, different human beings, and all agree that okay, this is the direction we have. Do you have kind of like a head point?
We don't all agree necessarily, but we all understand that we're telling stories and we're trying to service the characters. And ultimately, and different rooms behave differently. I've heard of rooms where the showrunner has to have everyone agree and everyone has to be on the same page, and that can take a while, because if 8 out of the 9 writers are on the page and that 9th writer is just like, I really don't see it, and it's just my subjective thing, and I'm sorry, or objective, then that showrunner would keep everyone there and then bring people back the next day and keep talking about that thing until either an alternative comes that everyone can agree on, or that like 9th angry person says, fine, yes, we'll do it that way. But I don't know how productive that is.
Yeah.
But then there's the style where it's like the whole room can be like, absolutely, this does not make sense for us. This is completely a crazy thing. This is not our reality. And the showrunner be like, man, that's the way I want to do it. So every individual thing is different. Ours, I wouldn't say exists in the middle of that. It's just very unique because we really don't have a traditional room in the sense that every day we're coming into the same space and specifically collaborating on like an episode or a story point. What we have is sort of very communal. We all go in the office. We all are talking at lunch. We're going into an individual's office to talk about things. We know on a specific day we're all going to go into the room, and then for that amount of time, however long it takes, we're going to talk about the next group of episodes. We're going to work out what that storyline is. And then we're each going to individually sort of pitch what our episode could be, monster-wise, story-wise. And then the showrunner, they sort of shape that sort of next segment, and they say, this is what's kind of happening. These are the episodes you're doing. And then you work, kind of on your own a little bit, but you're definitely pulling from help, and you're definitely calling in the showrunner, and you're definitely... you're not on your own, like adrift in the sea of like, I got to turn something in. You've got the support system, that people are all around you, but you have to do the work.
That's really cool, man. You still at the Warner Brothers building?
Yep, yeah, Warner Brothers building, where they give the tours.
That's awesome.
I'm going to sneak on one of those one day. Just kind of, I don't know what it's like. I know that you end up in Central Perk at some place, and it's like, wow, this coffee shop looks like the Friends coffee shop. And then there's a museum.
It's pretty cool. I had a friend who worked on the lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But have you ever gotten to visit the Supernatural set, too?
Yeah, I've gone to Vancouver twice now.
Great.
Twice, maybe 3 times. It feels like 3 times, but I know for sure twice. And I love it up there. The crew up there is like a family. They've been doing it for so long. They're very welcoming. The guys are amazing.
Yeah.
I've shadowed directors. I've hung out with the producers, the people that are working on set. I go up and I want to know everyone's job. I ask them, what do you do and how do you do it? Because that's how I've learned, it's just asking questions. So I ask about lenses, I ask about props, and just sort of soak it all in. And then the guys are great and very warm and welcoming. And, it's one of those things where they've probably met me a handful of times, but the first time I went up to set, they had only met me once.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're like, they're not going to know who the hell I am. Like, they met me once in Burbank really quick as they were meeting a bunch of writers. And I just kind of walked onto set and just kind of hung out. And I'm not a big, like, ta-da, guys. I just sort of started watching it. And they saw me and they both were like, hey. And then they came up and they were like, Davey, give me a hug. And it's good to see you. You're visiting. And I was like, wow, these dudes are, they're really genuine, cool guys.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good to hear.
And they hunt monsters. Like, they go out and kill ghosts and things. So
that's pretty cool.
I was like, give me your number. Because if I get possessed by, a Rougarou, I don't think that happens, actually. You get possessed by a demon. But
I don't even know what the first thing you said was.
A Rougarou.
Rougarou.
They're monsters in our mythology.
Okay. In Latin mythology?
No, it's
I thought you said in my
our mythology.
Our. I thought you meant our.
Yeah. Usually when I make statements about our, it is about my culture. Let me teach you about our mythology.
Dude, so many cultures have so many different types
I know.
of demons and mythical
gods.
creatures.
I obviously love, Southwest and Mesoamerican, Iberian mythology. It's a little tough to get some of those things going on a show that's been established and has sort of the Judeo-Christian mythology already.
Right.
A lot of Western mythology, which is cool. I'm not trying to knock any of that. It's a deep well, and it serves us well. And every vampires, werewolves, all that stuff is cool. I'm more talking from the space of like my own thing, maybe someday in the future, or my own writing that I like to do. Definitely goes into my cultural experience.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to mine those sort of things, like well, actually they did do a what I would call a Llorona type episode in the early years. They've done some things that have been really cool.
Oh, cool.
And had some Aztec gods and stuff like that. So
Have you shapeshifters is the only kind of. Is that
they have
Southwest?
we've shapeshift. Well, skinwalkers.
Skinwalkers. That's
an indigenous sort of thing that Navajo, and I think that's real big in that Southwest region. The trickster coyotes.
Can I ask you? Okay, now we're getting into an area which I love talking about.
Absolutely.
Do you really believe in let's say Bigfoot or aliens or skinwalkers?
Wow.
Or the
The first two I'm not so sure about. The last one I don't know. Because and so my take on it is that there's a lot to the unknown universe that we don't know. And what we might call a skinwalker or what someone might call an alien, maybe our ancient ancestors called angels. Maybe they called them demons.
Yeah.
there's a lot of dark matter out there. There's a lot of, string theory and multidimensional space. And our reality exists, and we can touch it and we can feel it. But I've certainly had experiences that I could easily brush off as my mind playing tricks on me, or night terrors. I've suffered from those. But I've had them sometimes in my waking moments where I've been maybe walking in a dark space and I'm like, there's something over there. I've had that. And
What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Like,
just seeing something and then it's gone, but then feeling it. I've had that like at least twice in my life.
whoa. Okay. Well, let's talk about these experiences then. What did you see?
Once I saw a woman in white, and I wasn't the only one. I was with a group of people, and we all saw it.
What?
And we were we were going to in this area in East LA called Turnbull Canyon. We were all hanging out, and we were in the woods, and we were trying to get to this like infamously haunted house, and we were walking up this little hill, and all of a sudden the air gets really cold.
Shut up.
Yeah, I'm not like, this sounds like I'm pitching an episode, but this really happened. So the air gets really cold. Two of my friends started arguing because one of them believes something weird is going on. The other one believes it's all hogwash. That's a really cool old word. Hogwash.
Hogwash.
Hogwash. This is all a pile of hokey. And I'm like caught in between, like, I don't know if it's real or not. I just know it just got cold. We're all getting freaked out. It's drinking in this space no longer feels fun. Can we just take off? And then the things this happened a long time ago, but the things I distinctly remember is we looked up the hill and there was a white figure at the top of the hill, which completely freaked a lot of us out. I mean, most of the group went back to the cars. I stayed with my two friends, one of them started to pray, the other one started to laugh, and then all of a sudden a swarm of flies came through the valley and just kind of flew by us. I'm not even like,
dude, I literally got chills right now.
I know this sounds cuckoo pants, but this is my truth. This really happened to me, and I believe, I don't know if I really heard a coyote howl or if that's like an embellishment from memory, but I know the woman in white. I know the flies, and my take on it was like, I don't know what's happening. If that's a real person, that's a freaky looking crackhead, and if it's not a real person, I'm out. And so then I went back to the car at that point, and then I think my buddy who was praying went with me, and then the guy who was like, reveling in all of it, he took a minute to be up there by himself. I don't know what he did, and then he just came back to the car.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What's the second time?
The second time is not as, detailed. It literally, like,
I love how you're like, I don't want to even say it.
It's like, no, I was walking to my car, and I was, I was leaving a house, walking across the lawn to a car, and there was just a bush, and I saw something in the bush, and I was like, there's something there, and I looked, and then it wasn't there, but I was so afraid to walk by. I couldn't get to my car.
Yeah.
I had to, like, knock on the door and be like, hey, can you walk me? And they're like, this guy is fucking just wimp, beta male. Yes, I'll walk you to your car.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
This second story was not as good as
Exactly.
the first.
No. I'm a badass in the first one. I, like, stood out. I saw flies and shit. The second one is, like, me kind of being
Dude, I want to, now, what's the valley called if people want to Google this?
It's Turnbull Canyon. It's near Whittier, California. And we used to call it Devil's Canyon in high school.
Okay.
And there's all kinds of stories that come out of there, I think.
Prepare to be terrified.
Mm-hmm.
Turnbull Canyon's Eternal Hauntings.
Oh, you looked it up online? See?
We have internet here. It's crazy.
Whoa! See, I ain't making that shit up, Holmes.
Dude, that's terrifying. Dude, I don't know what I would do. Woman in white disappears. Swarm of flies come by.
Bloodthirsty ghosts. Also the cultists. Oh, and UFOs. And Indian curses.
Well, that was my thing. Like, I was like, I'm not 100% buying in that there's, like, a ghost up there, but if there's cultists that want to believe that it's a ghost and it's just some freaky, like, woman who decided to put on a gown and, like, scare, like,
This is what the cultists look like, apparently.
Oh, man.
Black hoods.
You should really look into, there's a book I got a while ago called The Picatrix.
And
it's like the first magic book ever, and it was written in Old Arabic.
Picatrix?
The Picatrix, and the first page.
You'll have to text that to me.
Yeah. the first page is like a prayer, and like almost like a warning.
Yeah.
Like saying you have to be pure of heart to do any of this stuff. And if you have like any ill intentions, you invoke the wrath of the universe upon you. And I was like, oh,
well, this is the thing. I
scary.
do believe in that thing. I believe in that if you invite negative energy, or whether it's sentient or not, you will have that energy come into your life. So, because I've had another experience where I remember it was in high school again. I was younger though. I was probably like a freshman, and I had a friend who talked about some story that in Mexico they had a cousin who was possessed, and they had an actual person come out and exorcise this demon. And like it was really crazy, and that his dad had seen it firsthand, and his dad really believes that demons exist because he saw an exorcism. And I was like, wow, that's a cool story. And all day I remember thinking, that's a cool story, and I really wish that I could know 100%. I wish for me that I could see something like that or experience something like that so that I could know 100% this is true, because I have so many doubts, and I have so many is that true or not? And then that night, I was laying in bed, and I used to sleep in like a converted den that had a sliding glass door. Mm-hmm. So the living room was right next to my room. You can hear the TV. My dad used to watch TV till like 3 a.m. I remember being kind of freaked out. I had the kitchen light on, so the kitchen light could shine into my room, and I was, nodding off, going to bed. And I remember again in my head, I was like, God, that story was so cool. I wish I can have some kind of experience like that, and I could know if demons were true. And I shit you not, as soon as I thought that, the lights went out completely. TV shut off, lights went out. I heard the sliding glass door slam shut. I couldn't breathe. I felt a weight on my chest. And in my head, I was like wrestling with this presence and it was fear. I was like pure black fear that I was wrestling in my head. I eventually reached out, and I was like, Jesus, you go to your faith, at that point. And I think I just uttered that word, and the sliding glass door slid open. The lights clicked on. I heard the TV again, and I was completely freaked. I got to my feet. I was like, Dad, did you just hear me yelling? He's like, no, you just went to bed. And I was like, utterly, completely freaked out. Now,
have you heard? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I also debunk my own stories a lot. So my scientific mind goes, well, I know I suffer from night terrors, and I know that I could have gotten myself psychosomatically in a place that I was so afraid and so psychologically into this concept of a demon that I fell asleep for a second and I had a waking nightmare. But my other side goes, something sat on your chest.
I had a similar experience when I was younger. I had which I feel like I've debunked now, but it's so weird. I still kind of hear. So I have to. Here's a little thing about me. I have to cover my ears when I sleep. Otherwise, I'll start hearing whispers right before bed.
Nice. Ooh, I like that.
I know that sounds like I'm a crazy person.
No, it's not. No.
I'll start feeling like that in my ear. I don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. I have to cover my ears. That's the only way I feel.
For the longest time, I've had that experience before where I've heard things. That's not as been as prevalent as seeing things for me. So I used to, for a long time, have to sleep with a candle by my bed just to have some light in the room.
Oh, okay.
And then even that at a certain point started to become problematic because of the shadows. So then I got an eye mask because my eyes couldn't experience any sort of visual stimulation, because then my mind ultimately makes images out of it. And I freaked out my wife a couple times where it's gotten really bad. Usually when I'm really stressed out and I'm in a negative emotional space, I'll have these experiences. The worst one, I was house sitting. It's always kind of in a space that I don't feel comfortable yet in. So I was house sitting for someone in the Palisades in a really nice house. My wife, then girlfriend at the time, came to hang out. It's by the beach, beautiful spot. Great, lovely day. Had an amazing dinner. Went to bed, and as we're laying there, I'm falling asleep, and all of a sudden I see, at the foot of the bed, and the only way I can explain it is the fabric of space and time is folding in on itself, and on the other side of it, this face is like pushing through to like, and all I fear is like utter anger and hatred. And I woke up screaming. I woke up like I jumped on the bed and swung at the air, and my wife's like, ah, like freaking out because she thinks there's like a home invasion happening. And that's when I explained to her. I was like, remember I told you like sometimes, you know, I have these nightmares, and she's like, I thought you were bullshitting. I thought that was like, you know, trying to, you being cool or something. I was like, no, you know, this is it. I think that's the last big one I've had, you know. I haven't really had, I've had stuff where you know, I'm moving around at night. I'm, you know, interactive sleeper. She can tell you about that. But that's probably the worst sort of like thing that I've had in a while, and that was 4 years ago.
Well, that is pretty vivid. What happened to me? I was going to tell you what happened to me when I was younger. Was I felt that pain in my chest and something screaming in my ear, almost like a wraith.
Ooh. And
it was like, the whole story is, I woke up in the morning. I was in maybe 5th, 6th grade, and I thought I heard my brothers running down the hallway, and I was like, oh, that's not them. And then for some reason I heard something in my head, just go back to sleep. And I was like, okay. So like I went, and as soon as I closed my eyes, I heard that the weight on my chest, the wraith scream in my ear, and I like finally I was able to kick myself off, and then I went running crying into my parents' bedroom. I've debunked it as to possibly being what's it called, a sleep paralysis.
Yeah, right.
Which is a total thing.
Have you watched that documentary?
No.
Yeah, there's one on
The Nightmare. It's on Netflix, I believe.
Is it the one where the people like having different dreams and they all see the same face in the dream, like all around the world? People are having the same.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the thing I see too. That's the part that freaks me out. Is that it's interesting how. Yes, this is supposed to be a psychological thing, you know, that you're experiencing. Yet, why do we all see this gray face? That's, you know.
Are they archetypical characters?
Is it, you know?
Yeah, it's focuses on 8 people suffering from sleep paralysis, where they're unable to move, speak, or react to anything while they're falling asleep or awakening, accompanied by physical experiences or hallucinations that have the potential to terrify the individual. But yeah, you know, they talk about the faceless, like, black shadow.
Now, what's funny is that
crazy.
I have had this pretty much my whole life. I remember the first time I had it. It was either 3 or 4 years old, and it was Christmas or the day after Christmas, because I had gotten this really cool Tonka toy Jeep, which was like my new favorite toy of all time that I was absolutely in love with. It had like an eagle on it.
Yeah.
And I was just played with that thing, and I was so possessive of it that I had to put it on the shelf where I could see it as I fell asleep, because I wanted to know where that toy was at all times. And I remember nodding off and seeing 2 shadow gremlins come in from the window and start playing with the toy. And I was so like, I was mad at them, but also very afraid of them. And they were breaking it, and they were like doing all kinds of stuff. And I just was like, I don't know. I don't think I got up. I don't remember getting up. I used to get up a lot, and I would, you know, go to my parents and, you know, but this particular time, I don't think I got up. I think I was just so petrified. But then in the morning, my toy was there, and nothing was wrong with it. So it was just this weird, like, But I vividly remember that 2 little shadow guys on my Tonka Jeep.
How fucking crazy is the mind, the brain,
to
make it where you're like, I'm seeing this happen in front of my eyes.
Yeah. And it's burned in my memory. Like it's like,
dude.
Yeah.
So much we don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
I think that's what attracts people to shows like Supernatural and like
movies like The Exorcist.
Yeah, like it's just the unknown, and well, like this might be a possibility for things.
Well, I think we all want truth, but that's such a hard thing to ever really nail down, you know. And to really maybe find that, sometimes you have to explore the implausible or the unexpected and maybe the unknown. And I just love it for how it reflects what people like to call reality, and also how it points out that like you're this little bubble that you build for yourself and this little world that you exist in, that you think everything's going to go according to plan. There's so much more you don't know that's out there that you need to expose yourself to.
want to go into the Vatican Archives so bad.
Oh,
I've brought this up so many
dude.
times.
They have the answers. Look,
I don't think they have the answers. They're hiding something. I don't know. Maybe it's the answers.
I don't know. They're hiding. I think they're hiding visitations. I think they're hiding whether it's
Visitations? What do you mean?
whether it's angelic, interdimensional, or extraterrestrial. I believe that we have had more interactions than have been disclosed. Because if you read the Old Testament, and there's people hanging out with angels all the time. There's people walking with God, talking with God. There's wrestling angels, and there's the Book of Enoch, which is also very awesome, and it talks about watchers and entities that are overseeing things, and that's not just our mythology too. The Bhagavad Gita, all those sort of ancient alien things that people always point to. Whether you want to just say that it's aliens, I look at it in a more meta sense. I think something is interacting with us. Is it spiritual? We don't know what it is, I don't think. And I just think that there's more of it out there, and that, we cannot.
You think they're hiding?
I think they're hiding stuff that undermines their control of the situation. And as maybe awareness and humans evolve to a more intelligent state to understand certain things, that maybe they'll start to divulge information. But I think they sort of, because they've done it in the past. It's like there's councils where they say, okay, these books follow our message, these books don't, these books get canonized, these kind of just put them away. So why not do that with other new information? This doesn't really fit the narrative, let's put it in the vault. Maybe we'll bring it out. Maybe we'll find it in 50 years. Oh, by the way, we found this old book of Thomas, and look, isn't it interesting what that says?
I think that's plausible. I really do. I think Bigfoot's in there. No, I'm kidding.
Well, look, maybe it's maybe Sasquatch is Neanderthal man that's been living in a small secluded sect, and you don't know. I don't know. There's scientific explanations to the unknown.
Here's honestly what I think. I think I wouldn't be surprised if there is an undiscovered primate of some sort, deep in
like cave dwelling.
Yeah, very small. I mean,
with the giant foot.
I mean, let's take the oceans for instance. We're still discovering new species constantly.
Right.
So I wouldn't be too surprised if we did.
Well, there is a I forget the name of it. Gigantic I'm making something up.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking
about. The giant
yeah.
ape.
Yeah.
Right. That they just recently found, where they're like, oh, yeah, there was this thing. It was this giant primate that stood upright.
Well, also like Native American tribes in the Northwest, they talk about it all the time, and there's like history that goes along with it. So that's why I'm like, the Canada wilderness is like.
Oh yeah, that's where Wolverine came from.
Well, then there you go. No, but it's untouched some parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the Yukon.
That's wilderness.
Look,
that's hardcore.
I could get lost in Griffith Park. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And so we have I agree with that sort of concept, that there's a lot of just on dry land space that we haven't necessarily explored or touched, and who knows,
Yeah.
Did
you ever see Europa? You ever see that movie on Netflix?
That's the one where they go to the moon.
Europa Report, yeah.
Yeah, they go to one of the moons of
Jupiter,
and then there's like a
Europa,
Cthulhu monster under the ice or something like that.
Yeah.
I love
that movie. Yeah, stuff like that is like my jam.
It was done in found footage / documentary.
Oh, that's right.
And
I usually hate found footage films too. I should have hated that one.
I love found footage, even the really bad ones.
Really?
Love. There's something about it that if I'm watching by myself, I get in my covers. I'm like,
usually Amanda can tell you, we'll pick a film based on its description on Netflix, ooh, this sounds cool and scary. And if I'm within a minute, I'm like, this is fucking found footage. Is this motherfucking found footage? And she'd be like, just watch it. I'm like, no! And I'd throwing the remote and having a fit, and she's just like,
Grave Encounters was good.
Yeah.
Grave Encounters.
That's found footage, and I'm telling. Look at me.
It's really good.
The twist in it. I would not recommend films.
I'm sure it's like the best movie made in the 20th century, but it's gonna be tough for me to get past the found footage thing. The Last Exorcism, actually, I like The Last Exorcism.
Listen, it's not like the best film ever, but
no,
I'll tell you what
I heard from you is that it's your favorite movie of all time.
No, that's not what I said, sir.
That's what I heard.
Fake news. No.
That's
actually pretty good. But Europa Report was so well done because you've seen it. Okay, you've seen it.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Just mute it for 10 seconds. When they show the last 5 minutes, they actually show the way, and it's like that freeze frame.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that was like, oh my god, this is how it would be if we found something. It'd be this almost grainy but a little bit of video, and that's a alien. That's aliens.
No, that's it. They're jellyfish looking things.
But it was done so well.
Yeah.
So well. Oh man.
No, that one was good. I like that one. I'm mad that it's found footage that you reminded me of that. Maybe I forgot.
What I did appreciate was they added the luminescence aspect
the bioluminescence,
Yeah, I was like, okay, that's probably true then. They took...
Well, because life might evolve similarly, There's the same chemicals and biological makeup on this planet, but obviously different atmosphere, different gravity, so I like... Excuse me, God, this coffee giving me heartburn.
What kind of coffee is that?
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts.
There's one near the house now. Actually, not too near the house, but it's in Burbank, on Glen Oaks.
I did a commercial for them, actually. No, I just remembered.
Oh, there you go. Well, maybe you can get them to sponsor your podcast.
They just changed their name
to
Dunkin'.
What? Mind blown.
They dropped the donuts
They dropped because they serve more than just donuts now. They've got breakfast sandwiches.
My mom loves Dunkin'
Soon
coffee.
they're gonna
mom too.
They're gonna be Dunkin' Steakhouse
in East Coast. Yeah.
It'll be like a high-end eatery.
I got my mom organic coffee, and she's like, I don't want it. I'm like,
what is this, Wesam?
I'm like, Mom, it's really good. It's
I don't need your Hollywood organic, non-GMO, grass-fed coffee bean.
Yep.
I want Dunkin'.
Like, it's not good. I'm like, you didn't try it. She's like, I like Dunkin'. I was like, all right.
Did she slap the beans out of your hand?
She made me put back the box in Costco.
Oh yeah. Oh. She made you do the Costco. You can't return food at Costco. I mean, you can, but they have to throw it away.
Oh no, we were still in the store.
Oh.
Yeah.
This story doesn't have that. It's not that high stakes anymore.
This Costco was on fire. There was an earthquake.
Okay.
And a bomb.
All right.
A ticking time bomb underneath all the carts.
Write it up and turn it in.
Oh man. So what's in the pipeline for you coming up?
Well, I just finished my second short, Protest.
I'm not in it.
It's about a young woman going to Planned Parenthood to get health care. I thought you were right for the part, but you're a little busy.
I would have made time. ABC, Shondaland, Davy Perez needs me.
I trump all of those things.
That's awesome. You finished the second one already.
Yeah, no, it's screened at a private Latino Media Fest screening, and now I've sent it to a couple film festivals, hoping that it gets in. Our short is about to finish the festival circuit. We've gotten into a few.
I feel so bad. I'm a little out of the loop.
We got into one, and then I was like, and then I was about to email people about it, and I was like, it was last week. So it's like, I'm bad because I've got other stuff going on. But I think as of November, I'm waiting to hear back from one more. If I don't get into that one, pretty much I'll just put it online because I could license it. I know there's a market for that kind of stuff, but I just want people to see it, and
cool.
I'll put it online. The second one is now I'm applying to the festivals to get that out there. I'm also trying to use that as a directing sample to get television directing work, and that's awesome. I'm also working on a feature that I'll never get to actually write because I'm so busy. I work on the show, which is awesome and amazing, and how
many months out of the year is that with the writers? Like 8?
Well, officially it's going to be less this year because we have 20 episodes instead of 23. The last 2 seasons we've had 23 episodes, and we were there like 50 weeks out of the 52. So what is that?
Damn.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool day job. Let me just say, it's so I'm good with that, and that's But on the side, I try to stay busy. That's why I do the short films, and I write my own things. Working on some more spooky sort of, like I said, Mesoamerican, inspired kind of things. Nothing I could talk about specifically, but all exciting
Totally
stuff that if it were to come to Volition, you'll have me back and I'll be like, everybody come check this out.
And they can follow you on Twitter, right?
Oh yeah, you follow me on the Twitters. It's my name, DAVYPEREZ.
Yeah.
At that name. And also the Insta.
You're on Instagram too?
I'm on Instagram too. Actually,
I blocked you.
I might have not accepted your request. This is what happened. But I'm on the Facebooks, but I'm thinking about deleting that one. I don't know. I'm in that phase when I'm just like,
I hate it all.
It's all like but you got to do it, right?
No, you don't. See, I hate when people say you got to do it.
No. So you know what I think about sometimes is Lon Chaney. Lon Chaney back in the day, Lon Chaney. Am I now? I'm turning. Let me regale you with the silent movie Halloween.
I didn't grow up in the 60s, Dave.
Oh, this guy's from pre-60s. He's the Phantom of the Opera. The actor who played the Phantom of the Opera. He's the dad of Lon Chaney Jr., who played the werewolf in I Was a Teenage Werewolf.
Okay.
He did a lot of silent movies. He was a mega superstar in his day. He was bigger than Boris Karloff.
Wow.
Actually, Boris Karloff looked up to this guy. Anyway, he would always be told, like, you got to do press and you got to do the junkets and you got to do everything. And he's like, no, I just got to do my characters and I got to make them scary. And he had this, like, man of mystery where he wouldn't do a lot of PR. And it actually ended up raising his profile because they couldn't get to him. They couldn't get at him. That hasn't worked out for me. Like, trying to have zero impact. Like, I'm going to have no footprint. No one's going to know who I am. And they're like, yeah, no one knows who you are. So I have
That's tough.
Yeah, I know. So now I'm here. I'm doing the PR thing.
That's Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, but he did my left foot before he started doing that. You got to if I did my left foot, yeah, I'm off Twitter, guys, and my phone will still ring.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're both in a really good place. We're both working jobs that we love.
Yeah.
They're tiring, but tiring in the best possible way.
Oh yeah, I mean, look,
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I'm stressed like a mofo. I'm just like hair pulling out, like doing 8 different things at once. But I'm happy, like and also I stop, and I enjoy my life. Like I will stop and I will tell my wife I love you. I will look at my son, and sometimes I'll just let him take my hand and pull me away from my office and go out. It's hard to work at home now because he takes me away, and I let him take me away because I know this is something I'm going to regret if I don't take this time. So I'm happy.
That's
what
awesome.
I mean? I'm not overworked. I work a lot and it's stressful, but I'm not overworked.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Mr. Davey, thank you so much for coming on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, dude. I absolutely love being here. And
I'll be back on soon.
Yeah, I definitely would love to come back.
Yeah.
I'll wear a different cool shirt next time, and then I won't wear the fedora so I can have the.
No, you gotta wear a cooler hat.
A cooler hat, shit. Maybe I'll bring a sombrero next time.
All right, Michael.
All right.
We're out.
Play us out. Or you don't have that.
We don't
We don't.
play it.
Shit.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to the show. A big thank you to Adobe Radio, Nice Guy Digital, and our drink sponsor, Better Booch.
Better booch.
Dude, I'm actually really enjoying drinking this kombucha. Not vinegary, very low sugar, and organic. You got me on board. Hey, thank you to you, the listeners. We really appreciate you guys. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify to get the full episodes. And you can leave a comment on our YouTube page and send us your listener questions in for the week. Appreciate the listener question this week, and we'll get more in next week as well. I love you guys. Seriously, I love doing the show. I love all your support. I just burped.
That was awesome.
We out.